Jesse, like give us the it's Game Tactical Tuesday. I know
Yes.
my co-host is a little indisposed trying to get on. He's getting on a flight to head home. So I'll
Yeah.
be running the show here. Got Jesse Coleman today for Game Tactical Tuesday. Jesse, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to, share some gratitude that I'm grateful that, this isn't my first time on Game Tactical Tuesday. So I was able to do this, I think, the beginning of last year. So grateful that, you all saw that there was some type of value that I was able to bring to the group and, liked me to come back. So I'm grateful for that. A little bit about me. I'm Jesse Coleman from Chicago, Illinois, born and raised. I've been in the real estate industry going on 18 years now. Over the past 4 or so years, it's been a lot more coaching, training, keynote speaking as opposed to actually in the day-to-day real estate business. I still work referrals when that come in, but majority of my time is spent around coaching and training. I had the amazing opportunity to just recently go to Mongolia for 2 weeks to keynote speak one of their real estate conferences and spend time at their office to help them launch a few things. In Asia, they didn't have coaching programs or they don't have the team structure. So I was able to go over there to help them launch their first coaching program, and then now in the process of helping them launch the team structure. So that's a little bit about me. Love to pour into other people. That's my big thing. That's what fills my cup is pouring into other people and being there for them to make sure that they can succeed as well.
I love that. You're like my spirit animal. Love that. Like that's what I love to do too, man. I'm excited to see your presentation. So I
Yeah.
say just let's fire it up. Let's get going.
All right, let's get going. So this presentation is something that I actually created last year. It's called Breakthrough Blueprint: Tapping into Your Full Potential. And the reason I created this workshop was two parts. One, as I was coaching other agents, I realized there was a common theme with a lot of the agents I was coaching. And the second part of that is a lot of the situations I was dealing with personally myself. So there was things that I put together for a class. And yes, we want to sell a lot of real estate. Yes, we want to do all those things. But if we're not the best version of ourselves, if we're not showing up as the best that we could be for our clients, things are going to happen. And more importantly, if we don't show up as the best version of ourselves for the people we love and trust that depend on us, that turns into a big issue. So we're going to shift a little bit and we're going to talk about ourselves for this session, but it's going to transition into how you are handling your business. Okay. So let me
Absolutely.
get my screen up and going. Share screen. All right, can you all see that?
Yes, sir.
All right, presentation, full. Let's go. All right, so Breakthrough Blueprint, tapping into your full potential. This is like a 2.5, 3 hour course, but I promise you we're gonna get through it in our time we have together, and you're gonna take away the key points that I really want you all to take away from it. Okay. So I already talked about me. There we go. So this is a little bit more about me. I used to be a personal trainer. I was a personal trainer for 8 years, real estate coach and trainer. I was a football coach for a grammar school for about 5 years. And then, of course, I'm a dad. The reason I highlight this is because, again, I realized that it doesn't matter what industry or field I was coaching around. We all had the same things that we were struggling with on a mental side, physically and emotionally. So, first step of the process, who are you? One thing we have to realize is we have to get real and get right with ourselves, and we can't sugarcoat who we are. We have to be honest about who we currently are. So, when we do that, we have a quote from Aristotle. It says, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." We can't get to where we want to get to if we're not real about where we currently are. And it's not to make us feel down. It's not for us to be, feel discouraged, but it's to show us what do we need to work on for ourselves to be able to start living up to our full potential. So here's an exercise. So this is an exercise I usually do in class, but I want you all to take note and do this on your own time because we don't have time for it. I want you to write down who are you? And it's going to be who are you mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and professionally. So when you do this exercise, we are all real estate agents. We've been in the business. You know, with our clients, we don't let them stay surface level. When we ask them a question and they answer it, we don't just take it as that. We go deep. Tell me more about that. Why is that important to you? You know what? Can you share a little bit more about that experience? So we have to do that with ourselves. So who are you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally and professionally? And then when we start pulling back the layers of that, we realize that hey, maybe I'm not 100% there mentally. Maybe there are some things I need to work on my for myself. Emotionally, maybe I'm a little bit not 100% stable. So we start pulling the layers back to see where we currently are because that's going to be the beginning piece of the puzzle for us to be able to do what we want to do. Right. Then the next part of that is you're going to rate yourself in these sections on a scale of 1 to 10. You're going to rate yourself, how are you for your relationships? And this is going to be two parts, your business relationships and your personal relationships. Then next, you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 about your health. A lot of times when people say health, they just leave it as physical. No, we're going to talk about rate yourself scale of 1 to 10 mentally and physically, because you can't have one without the other. And then career, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 where you are at in your career. And then lastly, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for personal growth. Now, usually when people ask you to rate yourself, they just leave it at that. But no, we're going to take it a step further. After you rate yourself, you're going to go through and say, okay, what will take me from a 6 to a 10? What will take me to a 7 to a 10? What will take me from a 5 to a 10? Because now we're starting to put action behind it because we know we can have all the information, we can know all the things, but if we don't put action behind it, it's useless. So we want to say, okay, what will take me for physical health? What would take me from a 5 to a 10? Okay, that means maybe I need to drink a gallon of water a day. I need to go outside and at least get 45 minutes of exercise in. I need to go to sleep a little bit earlier. So we can pinpoint what are the things that we need to do to take us from a 6 to a 10. Same thing with our career. Okay, what will take me from this number of transactions to that? Okay, I need to be committed to my schedule. If I say I'm going to lead generate these days, then I'm supposed to lead generate those days. Nothing will come across and take me away from that. Okay. And then after you do that, you move along and you can say, okay, what is one area that you're going to work on? So we did those grades. Right now, what is that one thing that you're going to work on that you want to grow in? And then you're going to highlight the roadblocks that come up. Okay? Because
Hey,
here's
coach,
what happened.
can I
Yes.
ask a question? I'm sorry,
Yes, no problem.
because I don't want to forget it. When while you're on this topic, what's a good way to game plan for roadblocks?
Perfect. So roadblocks is pretty much is our contingency plan. So perfect example. If my work goal is I'm going to work on, hey, I'm going to make this many contacts per week, or I'm going to do this many open houses, my roadblocks is going to be, okay, my kid's school schedule. Hey, I may have a doctor's appointment. So we know these things up front of what's going to happen. So now the contingency plan is to say, hey, if I know my kids get out of school at this time, I am going to put at least an hour in my calendar after the kids get out of school to do my lead gen.
Got
Or
it.
I'm going to wake up an extra 15, 20 minutes early, and then I'm going to schedule my text messages to go out at 9:30 to get ahead of the curve.
Love that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then for my people that, fitness may be that area. We're realtors. We know some days we might have 14, 15 showings. That's going to be a roadblock for you to stick to your healthy lifestyle of eating. So our contingency plan is, hey, let me pack me a lunch. Let me pack me some fruit. Let me make sure I have my protein. Let me make sure I have me some snacks. Let me have my water because we're so easy to stop at a drive-through and go to McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, whatever the case may be. So we know those are the roadblocks that we're going to face. So let's put that contingency plan in place and say, hey, I know my kids are going to have soccer practice. I know that they're going to have a doctor's appointment. So what is my contingency plan for when that happens? Because if we're being honest, we all know that something's going. We already know that something is going on. We've been playing in September for the past few days. We know that school is back in. We know that soccer practice. We know doctor's appointment. We know this ahead of time. So why do we wait till the last minute and be like, oh crap, I can't do that because my kids got soccer practice? You knew they had soccer practice. So again, we put our contingency plan in place because we know those roadblocks are going to pop up. Right. So next, so after we got real and got right about ourselves, now we move on to who are we becoming? I read a quote that said, "We are already the person we want to be. We just have to tap into that." So if you want to be a luxury agent, you're already a luxury agent. You just have to tap into the skills. You just have to tap into the mindset that you already have to show up as a luxury agent. You want to be a commercial agent. You're already that agent. You just have to tap into the things within to be able to become it. You want to become a better listener. You want to become a better communicator. You're already that person because you highlighted these are the things you want to get better at. Now you just have to tap into the things that you need to do to be able to show up as that person. So Oprah Winfrey said, "We can't become what we need to be by remaining what we are." So again, we can't become the person we need to be by remaining what we are. So again, the first part, we got real and got right with ourselves about where we currently are. So we know that there's some things that we need to change, either around our health, our career, our relationships. So now we just start working on that. So I always use these highlights of kids because up until some point it could have been our environment, it could have been a relationship, it could have been a a death. Something happened that stripped us of our innocence and stripped us of having the belief that we can do anything we wanted to do. If you go to school and the kids have career days, they truly believe they can be any of those things that they want to be when they share it. I even saw a video that a kid dressed up as Spider-Man and jumped off the top shelf, and then his parents were like, "Whoa, you can't do that." You're like, "Well, but I'm Spider-Man." Like he didn't have no fear. It was dangerous, right? But he didn't have no fear. He thought he was Spider-Man. For us, something happened to us. Again, we started getting into adulthood. You know, situations happen that we stopped believing that we can become and do anything that we want to do. And we know that is a big part of the puzzle for us to be able to accomplish what we want to accomplish is we have to believe in ourselves and feel like we can be that person. So what I challenge us all to do is for us to all start looking at things from the concept of kids. Looking for to say, hey, I want to be a top producer, I can be that. I want to be a commercial agent, I can be that. I want to be a luxury agent, I can be that. I want to be one of the top investors, I can be that. We have to start looking at things through that lens of how kids look at the world because there was no fear when we were kids. We all felt like we can accomplish and do anything that we want to do. We have to tap into that again. Okay. So this part of it, the puzzle is what is the clear vision of who you are becoming? And whenever I tell people to do this, I tell them don't sugarcoat it. Don't play small. We don't play small. Who are you becoming? Are you becoming a better friend? Are you becoming a better son? Are you becoming a better realtor? Are you becoming a better coach? What does that clear vision look like for you? Because again, we have to be very detailed and very clear about what it is that we want. Same thing when people say they want a car. Okay, what type of car do you want? What color is that car? What color is the interior? Do you want the standard package or you want the deluxe package? You have to get so detailed because then you start really living it, you start believing it, and our subconscious mind starts hanging on to that. Okay? Then after that, we move to my favorite part. It's called the flight attendant, right? When we get on the plane, the flight attendant, after they give us the security briefing, they say, in case of emergency, you put your oxygen mask on first, then you put the oxygen mask on your kids. So in case of emergency, you put your oxygen mask on first, right? So this quote comes from unknown. You can't save anyone if you're running on empty. Fill your bucket. You have to fill your cup. You have to fill your bucket. Too often we try to pour into everybody else that we forget to pour back into ourselves. And then we wonder why we're not able to operate at full capacity because we're running on empty because we're too busy trying to make sure everybody else is okay. So again, when you're sitting on a plane, the flight attendant comes through and they tell you you have to put your oxygen mask on first. And for us with kids, sometimes that stings a little because they'll come up to you when you have your kid sitting next to you. You say, "Hey, mom, dad, in case of emergency, when the oxygen mask comes down, you put yours on first, then you put your oxygen mask on your child." Because here's the thing, if we don't put our oxygen mask on first and we try to put it on our child, what if something happened where we end up falling out or passing out before we even get the oxygen mask on our child? Now we're both in danger. But if we get our oxygen mask on first, we're breathing strong, we're feeling strong, then we're able to take care of our child, right? Over the past year or so, I'm pretty sure a lot of us, had this look as we're sitting in the car. We get home from the office or from showings, and we don't go straight into the house. We just sit in the car for a few minutes because the weight of the world, or the dealing with of these other agents or our clients are starting to weigh on us. That we're starting to feel drained, or at some point where we're actually feeling like the one on the left, but we're showing up with a smile on our face because we just have to show up and be be that for everybody. We have to smile for everybody. We have to just show up. But why can't we make sure that we're looking like that on the inside and outside? We should be able to smile inside and outside, not just putting the fake smile outwards so the world can see it, but for us to also feel the way inside. And then another component of this, ladies and gentlemen, is a big one. Who are you surrounding yourself with? There's so many takers, and I read the book called the Energy Bus, and I didn't know it was a name for it, but they call it the energy vampires. That there's people in your life that they're just going to reach out to you just to get your energy, and they're going to dump all their BS on you. And once they feel a little bit better, you don't hear from them again until they need to dump their BS on you. You are not an electric car charging station. You are not there just for people to come charge their battery up and then they leave all their trauma on you and then they go about their business. So one thing I do now is when people call me with BS, I say, okay, first of all, yes, you can call me to vent, but soon as you're done venting, you need to say, this is what I'm going to do next. This is the solution I'm going to give. So if you have people in your life that just constantly call you to just trauma dump or just throw all this crap on you, your follow-up question to them should be, hey, if you call me to dump all that on me, your next statement after you're done doing that is, here's the solution that I am going to do to change that. Because at the end of the day, when people throw all of their crap on you, that drains your energy. Now you're running on empty while their battery is full because they were able to just throw everything on you.
Jesse, this is awesome. I always say, so what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, that's the key. I love that. That's straight to the point. So what are you going to do about it?
Yep. Dump, dump, dump. And I just listen. And then I just say, so what are you going to do about it?
Yep. Yep. And then you're going to have some people that's close to you, like a best friend, like a family member. So now your question to them is, hey, there's three ways I can respond to this. I can respond to this as your best friend. I can respond to this as your coach, or I can just sit here and just listen to you. Which way do you want me to respond? Well, you know what? Right now, I just need somebody to listen. Okay, so I'm not going to say nothing, but you need to give a solution after that. You want me to respond as a coach? Okay, I'm going to coach you do that. You want me to respond as a best friend? Okay, perfect. I'll respond to you as a best friend. But you have to pick which one of these ways you want me to respond to you. Because again, I have to make sure I protect my energy and not just let you dump all of that on me. All right. So next part of this is I will ask everybody to, when you get a chance, take a minute and write down 3 things that you would do for your self-care, mind, body, and spirit. Here's the beautiful thing about this. Some things you all are going to pick is going to fall into all 3 of those buckets. Let's just say you say, you know what, I'm going to start making time for meditation or yoga. Well, guess what? Meditation and yoga works for your mind, body, and spirit. I'm going to start journaling. Well, journaling helps for your mind and spirit. So again, when we talked about contingency plans and roadblocks earlier, that goes back to us for us personally. Okay, when a roadblock come up that a deal dies the week before closing, or the buyer I was working with for 3 months just ghosts me, or something happened, what is my contingency plan to make sure my mind, body, and spirit is still working at full capacity? And then when you think about it, I do want to highlight this. It doesn't have to be something extravagant. Yes, it could be, you know what? I'm going to go do a full spa day. It could be, you know what? I'm just going to go to the park. I'm going to turn my phone off for 10 minutes. I'm going to get my favorite book. I'm just going to sit in the park and read my book. Or I'm going to go for a walk. Like people don't realize those little things does so much for us mentally that it doesn't have to be something big. Yes, you can go do the spa day, but you can also go to the park and walk around and just ground yourself. So again, everybody should have things in place for their contingency plan. And then also I got this from one of my friends where they said they give their contingency plan to their friends and they call them and say, hey, I'm feeling down right now. Grab something off my contingency list that I should go do. Hey, you should go take yourself to lunch. Okay, perfect. That's what I'm going to go do. So not only are you keeping it for yourself, you're enlisting the help of others to say, hey, I'm not doing good right now, Drew. And Drew say, okay, Jesse, number 16 on your list, it said that you're going to go for a 15-minute walk. Okay, Drew, I'm going to go for a 15-minute walk. Thanks. Okay. So now we're moving into part 4, where you say your fixed versus growth mindset. This is very key, right? And I got my own little quote where it says, your mindset is the battlefield where success is won or lost. Train it like a warrior, and there's nothing you can't conquer. A lot of times when people, work out, they forget that, you got to work out your mind too. You got to constantly grow. So it's funny how this came up. So when I was creating the course, I Googled, can you give me a visual depiction of what would fixed versus growth mindset look like? And it shot out these 2 things. Both of them are the desert. One of them is it's just nothing is happening. But on the other side, it said this shows depict that there was a slight drip of water somewhere. There was a slight drip of rain. There was something where one flower was able to grow. So it broke down to this, that fixed mindset, believing your abilities are set in stone, avoiding challenges, and fearing failure. Well, for everybody on here, we all have the growth mindset where embracing challenges, seeing failure as an opportunity, and believing in improvement through effort. And then again, this is how it breaks down too. Fixed mindset, avoid challenges. When we have a growth mindset, we embrace challenges, right? Fixed mindset, see failure as a stop sign. Growth mindset sees failure as feedback. I want to highlight that. Failure is nothing but feedback for us. Thomas Edison, and don't quote me on this, I think it was 2,778 times that he tried to create the piece for the light bulb and he did not do it. And he said, no, I didn't fail. I just learned 2,778 ways that it didn't work. So we have to look at failure as feedback. You didn't get that listing appointment. What is the feedback do you take from that? The buyer decided to work with somebody else. What is the feedback you need to take from that?
Could I say something? Because I
Yes.
think that reigns true. Sometimes, and this goes for all of us in the room in Q4, going into Q4, is sometimes we're around the corner from a breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know it. So you're turning that corner. It might be a long corner. It might be a sharp corner. But whatever it is, we're around the corner from a breakthrough and you don't even know it. So that last call, that last text message might be the best one. That last analysis of the property, take a swig of water and your client goes, one more house. And you don't know if that house might be the house. Because you just
Yep.
need one. That's the beauty about real estate. You don't need like 10. You just need one. You need one appointment, one client, one closing to get that 10 grand, 5 grand, whatever it is. You just need one.
And you know what, Nick? I always I'm glad you said that because when I'm coaching agents and they starting to get discouraged about their lead generation, I say, well, you know what, Nick? Let's reframe it like this. If I tell you, so let's just say there's 31 days in a month. If I tell you, Nick, for 30 days in a row, you're going to get cursed out at least 5 times a day. But on that 31st day, I'm going to give you a check for $10,000. Would you be okay with that? And every time they say, "Oh yes," I'm like, "Okay, so what's the problem then? What's the problem?" That's exactly what you do when you're lead generating or you're doing those things, right? You're gonna get some people that's gonna curse you out. You're gonna get some people that say, "You know what? No, I'm not selling anymore." Oh no, my cousin is a realtor. Oh, you know what? I'm going to real estate school myself. Okay, next, keep moving because on the 31st day, that one person is going to say, you know what, Nick, you're right. You know what, I do need to sell. Yes, come list me. And now you got a $10,000 check. So again, when we reframe our thinking around things, we know the more no's we get, the closer we get into the yes. So there's a book that I'll recommend. It's called Rejection Proof. It was an exercise that a gentleman did where he set out, and I think it was 100 days. For 100 days, he went and did things to people to say no. So he can condition himself to be okay with somebody saying no. Like he would do something so crazy where he would go to Starbucks, make an order, and say, "Can I have that for free?" Right? We have to make sure, hey, it's all feedback. Failure is feedback. What do I need to change? And knowing that, like Nick said, all it takes is one. I'll get cursed out for 30 days if I know on the 31st day I'm going to get a check. Well, guess what? That's really what it is for us, right? And then they say fix, focus on what's lacking as opposed to focusing on potential gains. We can always gain, right? And then the last part, feels threatened by other success. Growth mindset finds inspiration in other success. That is very big for me. I always tell people, if I am the if I walk into a room, I want to be the lowest man on the totem pole. I want to walk in a room and feel like, oh crap, I should not be here. Because that's going to get me into gear to now I'm rising to the occasion. If you're always in the room and you're the top person in the room, not saying all the time, but most of the time, you're going to start operating a little bit lower and lower because you're adapting to your environment. So when I see other people succeed, that's who I want to be around because guess what? It's going to force me to level up. It's going to force me to start doing the things at a higher level because I want to start being able to adapt to that room that I'm in. Right? So now we're going to move into strengthening our mindset. So we know that we need to be growth mindset. Now we have to work on how we strengthen our mindset. So this quote is from Unknown. Your mind is a weapon. Sharpen it, train it, and use it to conquer your world. So again, I was born and raised in Chicago. I grew up in the Jordan era where, you know, we got our 6 championships. And we talked about reframing failure. Mike said, I failed over and over again in my life. That is why I succeed. On the interview, he said, everybody talk about all the shots I made, but they never talk about all the shots I missed. And one thing I always liked about him is Tim Grover. He wrote some great books. The Detroit Pistons, the bad boys, used to beat us so bad. Not only in the game, but physically, mentally, they used to beat us. Now, what if Michael Jordan didn't reframe that failure and he just threw in the towel and he was like, you know what, we can never beat them. It is what it is. He wouldn't be considered one of the greatest basketball players. But what he reframed his failure, he took the failure and said, you know what I need to do? My feedback is I need to get stronger. I need to make those around me stronger. So what did he do? He went and hired Tim Grover, who was not a trainer in the NBA yet. He went, he started training, he started working out, he reframed his mindset. He got what Phil Jackson said, you know what, I will be open to us making this a team thing. I'm still going to be who I am, but I am open for us doing what we need to do. And then the rest is history. So if the greatest basketball player in the world says, hey, I failed over and over again, that's, in my life, that's why I succeed. Why don't we follow in that footsteps and say, hey, a fail, perfect. What is my feedback? How can I get better? So we have to reframe those things. So this part, again, I'm giving you all a little homework. I would want you to take a minute to sit back and say, what was a recent failure or setback I had? And what is the lesson I can learn from that? What is the feedback? So again, you went on a listing appointment and you didn't get the listing. Okay, what is some feedback that you can take from that to say, hey, let me use this moving forward? Perfect example for me, a quick one was I went on a listing appointment in a suburb of Chicago. The seller asked me, why do people want to move to our neighborhood? I thought it was because of the school district. They had a great school district. He said, no, Jesse, the reason people want to move here is because we were rated one of the top 5 suburbs in Illinois. I didn't know that. So I took that and I didn't get the listing. I took that failure as feedback to say, you know what, Jesse, you need to start doing more research on areas that you're not too familiar with. So when you go on listing appointments and the next seller asks you, why do people want to move to this area? I can say, well, one of them is because of your school district, and also you all were voted the top 5 suburbs in Illinois. So that was my setback, and I used that for feedback to now the lesson learned moving forward. Okay. So next part, I will always say stop, and then I would tell people write down 3 things you're grateful for. As we know, when we give gratitude, when we think about what we're grateful for, our energy shifts. Our mindset goes into a better place. If anybody's ever been to a Tony Robbins event, he does this a lot where he just stops in the middle of his presentation. He make everybody get up and start jump up and down. That's that pattern interrupt. He's changing the flow of things. So for us, when we're having a bad day, when things aren't going right, you just stop, write down 3 things you're grateful for, and I guarantee your energy will start shifting because you're going to look at things from a different perspective than what you're looking at right then and there. Okay. So next, surround yourself with growth. This is a big one. And everybody on this call, knowing Justin and, how he is, and I know that you all are creating an environment for people that want to grow. So when you surround yourself with growth, the people in the environments you engage with either fuel or drain, you choose wisely. So this means that there may be some people that you have to limit your interactions with because they're always negative. They're always looking at the worst of things and not thinking what are the possibilities of things, right? So what is your environment you're putting yourself in? Like I stated earlier, if I'm going into a room, I want to be the lowest man on the totem pole because I'm putting myself in an environment that's going to force me to grow. When we talked about making sure that you're taking care of yourself, that means limiting the people that's coming to you with their BS and all their drama. because that's going to take a toll on you and that's going to drain you. So we need to make sure we surround ourselves with growth. The next part of this, language of awareness, the power of words. What are you saying to yourself? We are our own worst enemies. So I always ask people, think of it like this. If you were on the street and a stranger walked up to you and said to you the things that you say to yourself, would you punch them in the face? And people be like, yeah, if a stranger came up to me and said that, I would hit them. Okay, so why are you saying it to yourself? Second part of that, for my parents, if your child walked up to you and said, Mom, Dad, I feel this way about myself, how would that make you feel? So if we're not okay with one, a stranger saying these things to us, and for two, we're not okay if our kids came to us and said they feel this way about themselves, why do we say these things to ourselves? And as we all know, our subconscious mind doesn't know what's real or what's fake. So our subconscious mind holds on to whatever we constantly put in there. So this is where, and take this from me, somebody who thought affirmations were the dumbest thing ever. Like, what am I talking to myself for? Now, this very day, I live by affirmations. Because the things you say to yourself determine how you're going to show up. And here's the beautiful thing about humans, we're never going to get it right. I still have my days where I say some stuff to myself, but guess what? I catch myself. I say, nope, we're not doing that. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Reframe what you're saying to yourself. So we have to be aware of what we're saying to ourselves. And then the next part is one of my favorites, limiting beliefs. Every single person on this call, including myself, have limiting beliefs that we're dealing with. If somebody tells you they don't have limiting beliefs, they are lying to you. So we have to reframe that. For me, usually when I'm doing this class and we're in person, I'll make everybody write down all their limited beliefs. And when I tell you the energy in that room gets so uncomfortable, some people start crying, but write it down. And then at the end of that exercise, I make everybody take that piece of paper that they written it down on, ball it up, and throw it to the front of the room at me. And then I proceed to stump on every piece of paper and I say, this is all it's worth. It's the paper that is on that I'm stepping on. These things do not define you. Who has told you that you can't accomplish these things? Now, there's some people that you may that have in your life that are a-holes that will say certain things to you because they're deflecting how they feel about themselves. We all know people like that. Instead of them being real and right with themselves, they deflect all those thoughts on you. So if you ever have time where you have those limited beliefs and you want to do that exercise, I have people that will write it down and then they'll burn it. I have people that will write it down, then they'll cut it up. And do you realize that is all those things are worth? We, again, when I talked about earlier, we have to look at things through the eyes of kids and start removing those limited beliefs. Okay?
So, Coach,
Yeah.
we got 3 minutes till 9:15, and I know we got you on the clock. Anybody have any questions for Jesse? Or any
Yes.
want to share any ahas you got from his presentation so far?
And then I can stop sharing screen and we can open up for anything too.
Okay.
I think for me, my bad.
Yeah.
Is it good?
Just shout it through mine.
I think it's too echoey. Sorry about that. Hey Jesse, so I was gonna say, no, I appreciate just the candidness and really just trying to like burrow in and really your mind psyche, your mental psyche on who you are. You know, until I kind of overcame that, I'm still doing that on the daily anyway, but you know, a little goes a long way. And once you get to that point where you're feeling way better about yourself and be able to then serve others, however, whoever is in your life, it just kind of falls into place a lot better. So it took me a long time to get to that point.
Yeah, when we're able to regulate ourselves, because things are gonna happen. That's why that quote of you can't control your first thought, but you can control your second. Like it doesn't matter who we are, we're gonna deal with stuff. That first thought pop up, that's fine. That's one thing I want people to realize. You're never going to eliminate that first thought. That is just we're humans. Like right now, a thought is popping in your mind. You can't control that, but what you can control is that second thought that comes behind it and your reaction to that. And then I've been very big on reading up on the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, and all those. And one of the things they say is it is not the situation, it is our perception of the situation. So again, BS is going to happen. We're going to have clients that's going to ghost us. We're going to have transactions that fall apart. We're going to have days where we don't feel like working. That's fine. It's not the situation. It is our perception of the situation, and it is how we're going to react to those situations. That is the big part of things. Just like we know things are going to happen in the world. That's just the world. It's how we react and how we respond to those things.
I love that. My aha that I wrote down is highlight what you want to get better at. Right? We spend so much time focusing on like the negative and what we've done wrong. But if we switch the way we looked at that and just highlight the things we want to get better at, Coach, I love that. I wrote that down.
Yeah, that's the thing. The things we want to get better at, and then we start focusing on that. Like for me, I do combat sports, so I do MMA, jiu-jitsu, and that. And one of the exercises that we do with people is say, hey, in this round of sparring, only focus on that one technique or move you want to get better at. You want to get better at throwing the hook. For that 4 round, all you doing is throwing hooks. It don't matter what your opponent do. You just constantly throw hooks. So for us, we want to get better at the conversations that we're having with our clients. So what does that mean? Every day we're working on that conversation that we're having. Every day we're focusing on that conversation. So again, it's highlighted what we want to get better at, and then we start working towards getting better at it.
Anyone else got any questions for Coach before we let him go? You guys, we posted his socials in the chat. Give him a follow. Anyone?
Thank you, Jesse. That was good to refresh. I think the mindset game is huge, especially when we're heading to Q4. And sometimes we just like Michael Jordan, when everybody else is tired in the fourth quarter, that's when it matters. Right? So you could do whatever you want in the beginning, the middle, but at the end, you got to finish strong.
Yep.
Right? That's when it breaks through winners or losers.
Yep. And then knowing that it's going to always be a struggle. So we're always going to be breaking through something. Every level we get to, you're going to have something you have to break through. So us keeping that in mind, we know, okay, we just got to keep going. There's always going to be something happen. And that's what I tell people. Stuff is going to happen regardless. That is just life. If we think everything is going to be sunshine and roses, we are delusional. Everything is going to happen. So again, we just have to make sure we're ready to move forward.
All right, guys. Well, it's our job to go out there and crush it. A little bit of help from the coach. You guys can get your minds together. And Jesse, I appreciate you being here. This was awesome. I'd love to see the rest of the presentation sometime. Maybe we can
definitely.
back. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you all so much and have a great day.